Hey y'all, we're doing something fun today. One of my followers on here reached out and kind of asked like some specific product recommendations and just kind of like a more kind of tutorial on the products that she has and things that like fit her skin tone and stuff. So we got a whole list together of things that she has, things that she's gonna get, and I'm gonna do a full beat with those products. These are all drugstore too, which is amazing. So stay tuned. I'm gonna put the list of products up on my screen and from our conversation. So that is literally everything that we're gonna be using today. It is all drugstore, which is tea, and I am hoping we can make this look amazing. I'm gonna really try to do this in one part, so I'm gonna kind of like speed through it, but also like give an in-depth tutorial. So for skincare, Milky Thayer's toner and e.l.f. Thirst Burst drops to start us off. We're gonna be using all of these products and then a beauty blender, a powder puff, and then only one set of brushes. They're from the Dress Up brand. I'll put them here. So literally everything that I just showed you is the only thing you will need for this makeup look. Nothing crazy. Skincare, we're gonna go in all over the face with the Lumi Glotion. And I'm just rubbing that in with my hands, making sure it's all the way on the face. Look at that glow. Then we're gonna go in with the e.l.f. Power Grip. I'm just gonna put this in the T-zone of my face and mix it in with my hands. Just put that Power Grip on. Let's do a brush test. And for the L'Oreal True Match, we're gonna go in on the back of our hand. Then we're gonna get the soft condensed brush from the Dress Up, and we're gonna just work that into the brush. And then we're going to stipple across the entire face. You wanna make sure to get the entire face, never drag. You're just stippling. Always make sure to take it down your neck as well. And you are avoiding the under areas because we're gonna be putting concealer on those. Okay, and then once you have it all over your face, we're gonna take a damp beauty blender. You're gonna run it under some water and then dry it out with a paper towel. And then we're gonna take all that's left on our back of our hand, get it into that beauty blender, and then we're just going to go in and blend what we put on with a brush. This part isn't necessary, but I feel like it really makes it blend and look beautiful. And just when you think you've blended enough, just blend a little bit more because you can never blend too much. Also, the reason why we do the paper towel is to get all that excess water out of there, because if it's too wet, it's going to take that product and it's going to take it off your face. And then that's also another reason why I put a little bit more on the beauty blender, just to give it that like defense so it doesn't take it off of your face. I know that these steps are like, why are you doing that? But I promise you, I've done makeup for like 10 years now, and the little steps really do make a big difference. Okay, once we have our foundation on, we're gonna go in with all of our cream products. I like to first go in with the cream bronzer. This is the Milani cream bronzer, and I'm just gonna go from right above my ear and stipple that, kind of like do like a U shape on my face, on my forehead. And don't be scared if you're using too much because it's all gonna blend. And I like to put it right under my chin. A lot of people like to go all the way across, which I do, but I don't. I do that whenever the product is mostly off the brush because I never want it to look harsh. And if you are doing that, make sure to really take it down the neck so that there's no harsh line. And then with whatever's left on my brush, I just like to go on my nose. We're using the same brush we use for foundation because it already got all the product off there, and it kind of makes it blend more when you're doing it like this, and you don't have to use another brush. Okay, then when I applied all of the cream product, I'm gonna go back in with the bottom of my beauty blender. The bottom is key because you don't wanna go back in with that beauty blender later and it have bronzer on the part where you're trying to put concealer. So then I just try to blend, blend, blend. And like I said, if you think you've blended enough, keep blending. I'm gonna go on my nose right there, and then I'm gonna go up, and then you're gonna wanna really blend into your hairline, especially for my lighter haired girlies. And then on my chin. Look how good that already looks. Go in with the cream blush. This is the Dusty Rose by e.l.f. I'm gonna put that right on the center of my cheekbone, and I like to use a lot because we're gonna cover this with concealer. So it is key to get a pretty good amount on there. Because the concealer and the powder is going to be covering it up. And then with the same bottom of my beauty blender, I'm going to blend that in. You can also use the same brush you had to blend this in as well, and then go back in with the beauty blender, but I've just found that the beauty blender works just as good. You can just stay right on that cheekbone. You're going up, and then you're going under the eye, and up and under the eye. You don't want to go too close to your nose because it's adding dimension to the face. And then I like to, at the very end of it, just kind of blend these harsh lines out up here. Then for concealer, we're going to go in with the L'Oreal Infallible. I'm just going to put a little bit in my inner corner and then just a tiny bit on the outside. On there, I'm going to use my brush from Jess Up, and I'm just going to kind of paint that concealer exactly where I want it to lay. And then at the end here, I'm going to drag it all the way up so you really get that like snatched look. And then I'm going to paint down from it. Go back over here, paint down. So it's kind of like an upside down V. And then I'm going to go to the other side, do the same thing. Go in with the Beauty Blender. So now you're just patting what's already there into the exact spaces that you put it down. So I'm going to blend without dragging, and I'm just stippling and moving. If you want to keep this really sharp right here, you can leave that alone. I like to usually blend it out, so I just take my Beauty Blender and just blend that blush and concealer together. Look at that. Beautiful. And then for like an everyday look, I'm not trying to like carve out my brows and stuff. I'll just take whatever is left right after I do concealer and just put it right on my eyelid, just to kind of brighten that eye up and then give it a base for the eyeshadow. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. See the difference that made? Just a little bit. And you're not having to use any extra product. Take our powder puff with the L'Oreal Infallible setting powder, and we're going to dip it into a pretty good amount of powder. And then you're gonna take this and you're gonna go on the back of your hand and just dip off the excess. And then for the first part, you're gonna go right into that inner corner and set all the way down where you put that concealer. And then we're gonna do the same step again. We're gonna dip into that powder, and then we're gonna dip the excess off our hand. And then I'm going to go into my under eye, right where I put that concealer. And then without re-dipping, you're gonna go on your eyelid and just kind of set that wet concealer that you put on there. And then we're going to dip into the excess that we dipped off, and we're gonna go into the whole rest of our face. If you want to do a pressed powder for this step, you can. I'm trying to make it simple to where you don't have to have extra products and it still works just the same. But you're gonna cover your entire face because we put wet stuff on our entire face. So in order for that to stay and for it to layer correctly, you're gonna want to start with a dry surface, if that makes sense, when you're putting on your powder products. And you're really wanting to focus on the smile lines, underneath your chin, anywhere you're gonna crease. You're really gonna wanna make sure to get those parts. Okay, next up is brows, and I really tried to make this into one part, but I'm so sorry. Let's go to part 2.